morning, everybody, to this lovely, not sunny and actually ever so slightly stormy morning here in the UK. My name is Richard Askham. It's nice to be back with you, asking some more questions in our series of Askham Asks for the Future Print Virtual Summit. I've got two great guests with me this morning. One this morning and one this afternoon, because they're in different time zones. We have Robin, who's joining us from Shropshire, and he's experiencing the same weather as me this morning. But Nova, who's joining us from Taiwan, and I suspect that her weather is a little bit better. Although I don't know, I haven't actually asked her yet. Maybe I should have asked her. That she could be in the middle of a monsoon and it would make the UK look positively tropical. But we'll find out as I introduce them. But please welcome them this morning, and hopefully you'll enjoy what we're going to talk about for the next 20 minutes or so. So without further ado, please welcome my guests. Good morning, Robin. Good morning, Nova.
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
You're saying good morning, Nova, but I know it's good afternoon. I'm sorry. It's quite hard to do an interview with two different time zones and get the greetings right. So should we just say hello? Hello.
Hello. Yeah, and you were right about the weather as well.
Yeah, I know. And I never asked you, Nova. Is now okay?
Very good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, 30 degrees, perfect.
We didn't want to know that. That's why I didn't ask really, secretly. So, but thank you for joining me today. And it's a Saturday for anybody that's watching, and we found the time. We've had to carve out the time for this conversation because everybody's been super busy over the last few weeks. So thank you very much for finding the time to join me this morning to record this interview. And largely, I think, for anybody that's just landed back on Earth from the International Space Station and maybe doesn't know who you two guys are, let's start with introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you do. Nova, ladies first.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. My name is Nova Abbott. I'm the head of marketing for the Tire Groups in Shanghai. Originated from Taiwan. Basically, Tire Groups is the owner of the Covalent, the PVC-free material brand for the large format industry. Hence, I'm inviting our partner, our exclusive partner, CMY UK's Robin, to join us in this interview, because I think he's got backs of personalities and everything. So I'm looking forward to this chat. Excellent,
thank you. And Robin.
Well, thanks, Nova. I don't know about the bags of personality, but I'll take that on a Saturday morning. So my name's Robin East. I'm the group sales marketing director for CMY UK in the UK. For those that don't know us, we are distributors of large format digital printing equipment and materials. And I will say, with materials, we have a particular focus on eco products.
Okay, so thank you for both of you for that. It's lovely to have you with me this morning. And just really for anybody again watching today, how did this partnership start? Who was the instigator? Who started the conversation first?
Oh, okay. Again, ladies first. It all started from, I think it's last year, correct me if I'm wrong, last March, I would say, in Shanghai, when the world will still have trade shows. Then there seems to be last centuries now. We in Shanghai, it was APPP Expo in every March. And then we saw Robin, Mick, and also Brett wandering around, the trio wandering around. So at that time, I think that's roughly about lunchtime. And then I spotted one of our junior sales are struggling to understand perhaps the accent and stuff. So I went to help. I said, oh, okay. So that's a familiar accent from the Great Britain. So hello. And then so we just clicked. We started to chat, and then 2 days later, they came to view our factories in Shanghai, and that's where it all started, really.
And Robin, I know with trade shows, as you say, in the last century when we all used to go to them, a lot of people have always said to me that they go to trade shows looking for one thing, that if they can bring home one thing that makes the trip worthwhile, then that's really the deal for them. I'm guessing this was that one thing for you.
That is so true. I mean, actually, for over the last 25 years, I usually drag a few members of the company around and say, come on, let's go and have a look. And you're right, if you can find that one golden nugget, and over the years we have found some golden nuggets that have become household names in the UK from our involvement. So we're quite pleased with that. Actually, when we were over in Shanghai, that was probably the second of 4 years of going over to shows in China. We were very interested in how there'd been a big shift we were able to create capacity and produce in significant volume eco products. And certainly when we met Taya and we saw the Covalent stand, we all sort of that evening, I remember sort of sitting down and thinking, we're onto something here. This is a very interesting innovation.
And do you know what I found out a couple of weeks ago? Nova and I had a call a couple of weeks ago, and I found out where the name Covalent comes from. Nova, could you just tell everybody the origins of the name?
Yeah, Covalent is basically one of the 14 Aboriginal tribes of Taiwan, indigenous people, they call them. The Thai groups are from Yilan. That's also where the Covalent Clan is from. And Covalent Clan is actually the last to be Sinofied or to be converted into Chinese cultures. But even so, we're still, I would say, basically preserving our spirit and also basically fight to the very last moments of spirit. And we think for this eco brand and in the fight of the environmental war, this is the spirit that we need. So this is why we chose the name Covalent.
Yeah, it's a really nice metaphor, I think, Robin, and actually largely for the print industry as a whole at the moment. We'll fight till the last. Which I think is a good thing to have. So, and tell me a little bit more about the material, because it's a new one for me. So what did you see, Robin, that made you think, wow, we're onto something here?
Well, firstly, when you start to, I would almost start actually in terms of where I think everybody's coming from, because there's a real appetite, more so than ever, to do the right thing really for the environment. We sort of started, a few years back with supermarkets trying to get rid of plastic carrier bags and get people to reuse bags. You start to turn on the television more and more. I remember watching, the plastic whale, and, there was a real shift, almost the next day, from people being so horrified about the amount of plastic waste that was ending up in oceans. So I think, I've seen over the last decade where we've tried to launch eco products, you get quite a lot of resistance. People always think it's going to be inferior on quality. It's going to be extremely expensive. And some of those elements would have been true. But when we looked at what Covalent was trying to achieve, which was to replace the PVC banner market, you then have to look and research what that currently looks like. And actually, it's horrific. And I think a lot of the businesses, particularly in our trade actually, that are using it for single piece point of sale advertising, don't realise that it's actually probably equally as harmful as the plastic carrier bag revolution. And ironically, you have all these supermarkets that have made so much change within that kind of culture, and the sides of their buildings are dressed up in PVC.
It's the bit that gets missed, isn't it? Really, and I think unfortunately, when you have a revolution in any sort of industry, and largely it's not limited to the print world, of course, but across the whole sort of supply chain for plastics, people tend to focus in on the headline, carrier bags, as you said, and one-use plastic and what have you, and overlook a lot of the consequential products that are already out there. And Nova, tell me a little bit, why is Covalent so much better than PVC banner?
Well, because there's no PVC in there to start with.
And that's it. Yeah.
So basically, when we designed the whole range of the Covalent material sort of series, the idea is to have that sort of basically the printers and also the brands, they don't have to change anything. Basically, they can just switch and then use without any other any adjustments. And then when we designed the product, we also have thought about when the product reached to its end of life sort of period of time, what would people need to do with it? So for our materials, because PVC free 100%, then whether it's been chucked into landfill or being incinerated for the energy to the energy scheme, or to recycle, none of them will be producing any harmful substance to the environment. So hence why the whole range started. Yeah. So it's polyester based, and then with a PA coating on it. So 100% PVC free.
And have you? I mean, I know a lot of people now do these carbon footprint analysis on products. Have you done that?
Yeah, we're doing that in a moment. In fact, the result will be coming out next month, should we say? Yeah.
Okay.
Just before Christmas. Yeah.
Look forward to that. It'll be interesting. And Robin, I guess when you first saw this material and recognised what it could do for you and for your business, did you have a sort of a single application in mind, or has it now blossomed out into the many ways that it can be used?
It has. I mean, again, I think what we've discovered, which is quite unique to Covalent and understanding it, and I was going to just expand on the fact that, if you look at the numbers, in 2018, there was 240 million square meters of PVC printed onto a PVC banner. It's astonishing. Most of that ended up in landfill. And again, the thing with PVC is, there's a lot of PVC in life, that can be recycled and reused. So we have to be very careful not to say that all PVC is bad. That's absolutely not true.
Sure.
Some PVC can be recycled and go into very useful long-term products like traffic cones or guttering or what have you. But PVC banner is very difficult to recycle. You can't chip it and flake it. It's often very much damaged prior to that process. So what tends to happen is it literally does go straight into landfill. If you incinerate it, it gives off hydrogen chloride, which is extremely toxic. So, we have to accept that literally goes into landfill. So when you talk about Covalent, you almost have like a silver and a gold process, if you like, inevitability of where that product will end up.
Sure.
If at the moment, because there are wide environmental issues with recycling, so the gold end of life process for Covalent is going for incineration to convert into energy. If you look at that globally, there's still issues with that. There's not every territory that has incineration plants that are suitable. So you have to go back to silver, and that silver process is what happens if, a bit like PVC, this point of sale material does end up in landfill, and that's where it wins, because it has a biodegradable coating and it will decompose and it won't leach chemicals back into the environment. Ultimately, we're working with international partners. What we want to establish, and establish this very quickly, is a very strong network, and not just in the UK, actually, working with people like Viola to establish a route to ensure that product goes through its gold process of waste to energy. And when you do that, you have hundreds of times lower emissions than incineration for things like PVC, and I will say PE as well, because that's used by supermarkets as well. So you have, ultimately the best products for using in that environment. And the other thing, Richard, which I should brush on, is because it's polyester, it's 50% of the weight of PVC. So in transportation, you're at half the carbon emissions, pretty much.
You win at both ends on that, don't you, Robin? Because I mean, we all know there is no perfect solution for the environmental concerns, but there are definitely better solutions, in the market, and what we're seeing is one of these. And as you say, with the weight reduction, that solves or starts to solve another problem further down the line. This is the problem, I think, Nova, with the whole of the industry really, is that it's you can't just solve one bit. You've got to try. You'd be better trying to solve a little bit of everything and make an aggregation of marginal gains. Absolutely. Yeah. Are you finding the same?
Yeah, well, so when it started with launching the Covalent, yes, this is exactly how we observed as well. But I think, like Robin said, I think, because of the COVID, I mean, everything's stored and stuff. But I think also because of COVID, it actually magnify a lot of opportunities and also issues as well, and it get people to be more environmentally focused as well. So I think I'm beginning to see a shift. I mean, yes, a smaller chunk of better to become, in a collective terms. But what I'm saying now is that more sort of words and promises, but just words, are being converted into actions now. And we can see that from our sales revenue and etc. Because I think people, the mindset is beginning to shift. So yes, there's nothing, no best solution, but yes, it's definitely.
There's an irony, isn't there, really, with COVID in the world that we sit in that, we touched on trade shows earlier on, and that's always been the way of conveying the message around the world, and largely that's quite a slow way of conveying that message. The irony is we found ourselves in this wonderful virtual arena with largely a much bigger audience because it's way easier to tune in and listen to this than it is to travel to somewhere and hear it. Largely speaking, it's a captive audience, and I mean that with all due respect to everybody that's stuck wherever they're stuck, but it does allow that message to seep out an awful lot quicker. And Robin, are you finding it easier to communicate that with your customers now, in spite of all of the barriers of the way that we used to do it?
That's a very interesting point, because when we, I think the answer to that is definitely yes, and I'll expand on that a little bit. Is one of the issues with Covalent that we found, having practiced the marketing of eco products previously, is are we trying to educate the printers and rely on the printers to educate the clients, or should we be taking responsibility and educating the clients? And what I mean by that is, we did a campaign which we started 3 months ago, which was called "Is Your Brand Ending Up in Landfill?" And we went over the top of the printers, which we normally deal with, to their customers, and sometimes their customers' customers. So we were speaking to, the brand owners of Coca-Cola, Adidas, the supermarkets, and all of those organizations now will have an environmental manager. And that's very interesting. That wasn't commonplace 10 years ago, but now they'll have sometimes a team of people that are responsible for eco products and sustainable products right the way across their corporations. You get a very quick reaction. If you start contacting them through LinkedIn and sending them videos, educational videos, which we've produced on Covalent, we've created almost like a product that is becoming specified back down the chain. That's much more effective.
It's interesting, isn't it, Nova? Because I'm an outsider in the print industry. I've spent a lot of time speaking in the industry and at events like this over the last few years with largely an outside view. But what I've always seen, and I've pointed this out quite readily to people in the past, it could be, there's a suspicion that the print industry was an echo chamber and it listened to itself and congratulated itself really rather well, but didn't necessarily engage with the audience beyond it, other than their own customers. So I think Robin's point there is quite interesting, that if you actually push the message further, it comes back to the very place that the solution exists.
Yeah, because, I think, to be fair to all the major brands, every single one of them now, and I go back to the sort of, the general feeling from all of us really, is that we want to make change. And so just like when we watched The Plastic Whale and didn't realise what was happening with our oceans, it was our responsibility with Taya to go to the brands and say, do you know what's on the side of your building? And probably not. And even if you did have, for example, PE, did you know that there's something that's better than that now? And that's our responsibility to do that. Ultimately, what you don't want to get is the resistance from the printers that quite rightly are doing a very important fulfillment role. And you'll get this sort of, and it always frustrates me, this is a common sort of answer where you'll say, it's too expensive or it's not cheap enough. And you think, when you're talking about an environmental product, cheap enough for what? Damaging the planet? What comparison are we making? Are we talking about something being 30% per square metre that can be sustainable and protect our planet as against a pound note. I mean, it's
the classic argument, Robin, isn't it, of understanding the difference between cost and value.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Nova, we're coming towards the end of our chat this morning. Tell me a little bit about the relationship that you have with CMY UK, and are they now your sort of exclusive agents for Covalent in the UK? Is it how far does their remit go in terms of who they're talking to?
Oh, well, the answer is absolutely yes. We were blown away the moment we met them, really. And basically, well, the marketing and also the technical know-how that they've shown us is basically, well, we're in it with them forever. If they want to, but also
we've got that on tape, well. Robin.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then it's not just for the UK and also the Ireland market as well, but we will do more with CMY UK just because they're geniuses really, and then they really genuinely care what they do, and they wanted to expand this green message across. I think no one can do a better job than them do. Yes.
Wow, Robin, there's a glowing tribute for you live in front of everybody that's watching. I'll ask you to embarrass yourself and respond to that. How are you? How are you sort of finding this? Is it working the way that that moment that you met at the trade show? Has it worked in the way that you expected it to?
It certainly is, Richard. And I think Nova's right. We're trying to be the sort of industry pacemaker a little bit in our own bubble. And driving it forward, and I think we know the job that we need to do working with the printers and the brands, and we're looking very much at taking this into other territories, and we're negotiating that currently. So it's very exciting. I suppose the exciting part is when you see the adoption of the product, and we've got some very significant events that we're going to be announcing shortly. So
excellent. Final question to both of you, really. You said events there, Robin. What's your expectation of when we'll all meet again in a fancy bar somewhere in the world?
It's all very depressing, isn't it? The poor events market got absolutely decimated. Yeah. It's anyone's guess when that comes back. I suppose for Covalent, where they have a significant sort of range of eco products, but particularly Sunlight and Spiderweb, which are outdoor banner and mesh products, that's still pretty much live and kicking, I have to say. Yeah. So when you look at even...
Oh, Robin's frozen up. Oh, there we go. We got him back. No, he's back. Sorry.
They have an audience of cardboard cutouts, but there are certainly in terms of outdoor advertising, it's still a big market for Taya, thankfully.
Sure. And Nova, are you? We see reports in the press, that there's the shows starting to come back in the Far East. Are you seeing that now? Yeah.
Like in September and June, and July really, we've been to basically two of them as well. But the traffic flow is not as great as what it was before. Well, pre-COVID period of time, of course. But I think it's slowly but surely. But I think I'm not in a rush to join any events. Providing if the vaccine is available, then I may consider. But hopefully, if they say that's right, then the beginning of next year, then hopefully I'll be having a drink with you in Vespa or in Drupa.
That would be nice. You made a very good point there that there is a rush to put events on, but not necessarily a rush to attend them. And I think that's going to be the key balance, isn't it, really, for event organisers and also exhibitors. So, but I think in the meantime, it's been great to be part of the Future Print Virtual Summit. This clearly shows how quickly the print industry can evolve, and we can have these conversations literally around the world this morning. And thank you very much, both of you, for your time today. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I wish you well. Have a lovely evening, Nova, and have a lovely day, Robin. And I hope the rain stops at some point. But thanks for your time, and I look forward to meeting you in that bar somewhere soon. Thanks.
One of the greatest threats to our planet is plastic waste. This means the PET in your plastic bottles and the LDPE in your plastic bags. But it's also the PVC coatings from print media used in the advertising industry. In 2018 alone, Europe printed approximately 340 million square metres of PVC banner material. That's enough to cover Wembley Stadium 4,200 times in just 1 year. Businesses are printing new, short-term use PVC banners with every new product or brand message and simply throwing the old ones away. This is a problem in urgent need of attention. In 2018, the EU produced about 29.1 million tonnes of plastic waste. Of this, 32.5% was recycled and 24.9% was put into landfill. 42.6% was converted into energy through various schemes. Many of us think recycling is the most eco-friendly option for waste. But many plastic fibres, including PVC banners, are so degraded by the process involving solvents and other toxic chemicals that they are often unusable and become waste, which is either incinerated or put into landfill. Without substantial government or private sector subsidies, the recycling process is not a financially viable option for most businesses. When PVC plastic waste is incinerated in a waste-to-energy plant, substantial quantities of dioxins and furans are produced, which cause cancer and reproductive and developmental problems. They also damage the immune system and interfere with both human and animal hormonal balance. Hydrogen chloride is also produced and released into the environment, causing further negative health impacts, as well as increasing soil acidity, which has far-reaching knock-on effects for all land and water ecosystems. PVC doesn't readily degrade, and when it does, it gives off a number of toxic substances, including dioxins and furans, which then make up leachate. All of this then contaminates groundwater, rivers, the food chain, and water sources. With limited options for the disposal of PVC banners in a safe and eco-friendly way, Taya is using its decades of research, development, and manufacturing experience to bring its Covalent range of clean printing materials to the large format printing industry. Its lightweight, water-based coating is of the highest quality and durability, and its proven superior performance easily outperforms PVC materials. Covalent is the industry's first true eco-friendly material. It can be safely disposed of using the EU's incineration waste-to-energy schemes, as its emission of dioxins, furans, and HCl are hundreds of times lower than PVC banner waste, and well below the minimum safety levels issued by EU guidelines. The Covalent range is PVC-free and 100% clean. Incinerating just one 3.2 metre roll of Covalent's clean material can generate enough energy to power an iPhone for over 5 years. And this has a further benefit of offsetting the power produced by burning fossil fuels, thereby reducing carbon emissions even further. Furthermore, Covalent weighs up to 50% less, significantly reducing carbon emissions in transportation. The look, feel, and quality of Covalent is the same as PVC. It's Covalent's enhanced shelf life and its impact on the planet that truly sets us worlds apart. For next generation printing materials and our children's futures, ditch the PVC. Choose Covalent now.